Hey, you. Yeah, you. Come here. Closer. Do you remember what scared you as a kid?
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we have a very special guest with us that's going to be talking about some movies that we saw when we were growing up that scared us. And to help us talk about our 5 picks each is actress and YouTuber Crystal Cleveland. Welcome.
What's up?
What's up?
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well,
I love your channel. Your channel
and I
is
love
fabulous.
yours as well. And I think everybody who's on our channel will love yours as well. So hopefully you guys will follow her and make sure that you follow her.
And if you're not subscribed, you need to subscribe and like this video. Yes. There you go. It's so much easier when someone says it for you.
Right. But we came up with this idea. We weren't sure what we were going to do. We knew we wanted to do something together. And someone had mentioned on our channel, and I'm so sorry I forgot your name. I will try to find it and add it to this video. But they said, what about movies that scared you when you were a kid? Mm-hmm. And so thank you for that idea. We sat, and for about a week or two now, we've kind of come up with a big list. And we don't have any overlaps, possibly.
No, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. Well, they kind of overlap, but the top 5, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
for each,
these are movies, not necessarily the scariest movies ever, just ones that affected our lives and that were pinnacle parts of our horror sort of journey. So I'm going to let you kick it off with one of your picks. These are in no particular order for me. I don't know about you.
Roger that. Yep. No, I think mine are in no particular order as well, because I really, when Alex actually technically came up with this via message, I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm not that person that is like, nothing scares me, because obviously there have been things throughout my life that have scared me. I am a huge horror lover, and I have watched so much horror that I am quite desensitized, though. Yeah. So when I say that, it didn't scare me, that doesn't mean that the movie or film is not scary. It just means that I have a really messed up sense of what is actually scary. But there are some films that have hit me differently and struck a chord with me. And this first one is probably on everyone's list. And I have to put it on my list because it is the film that I watched at 5 years old. I am absolutely that meme. It is the film that made me a horror lover. I remember watching it thinking, wow, what's happening to her? And it is 1973's The Exorcist. And I'm sure everyone is familiar with it. We all know what William Friedkin, Linda Blair, the beautiful cinematography, the fall feeling of this, Pazuzu, yes. And beautiful Reagan gets possessed, and her mother seeks the help of doctors to try to help her overcome whatever is going on. And no, it is not medically related. And so we have Father Karras that comes in, and we all know the rest of the story. Like, when I watched this, I was far too young. And while it did scare me, and to a different odd level, I remember watching this thinking, is this real? Could this be real? Could I be, a little girl like her? Like, could this happen to me when I get a little bit older? Is this going to happen? I know it's a little crazy, but I was a kid. I didn't know any better. And I remember, just watching her face and watching her changes. I didn't understand everything at the time. I didn't understand the crucifix. I didn't understand any of that, but I didn't need to. All I knew is that, wow, she is messed up, and I don't want to be messed up. And that's all it was for me.
The music alone is just.
Oh yeah, Tubular Bells.
Yes,
like
that's
that
the one.
is amazing.
And I'm really old, guys. So when I was very young, just a quick story about The Exorcist. My dad had an 8-track player with all these 8 tracks that he had. And I remember thinking, what is this? You know, like, what is this machine? And so I would go down there and play it. And he had the Exorcist soundtrack on 8-track.
That's
and
awesome.
So when I would put it on, it scared the crap out of me. And so it's like,
yeah,
I wouldn't want to be in the room while it played. Like, so it was like one of those, like, test the waters, don't test the water, test the water, don't test the water. And that movie in particular is just shocking. Is there a particular scene that shocked you, maybe that like stood with you the most?
It definitely had to be either the head spin, or I remember distinctly when she's like coming up on the bed. I remember not being able to really understand the concept. I just knew that you were dealing with God and the devil. In my mind, it was that basic and not demons, you know.
Sure.
I didn't understand any of that. So I was like, oh my God. But in my mind, in the end, it was a good ending because God won, right? She's free. She's happy. So, you know, I had a very black and white view of this film. Now, even to this day, I watch this film and I still think it obviously stands up. It's still one of my very favorite films of all time. And even more crazy, I watch it and I'm like, it was really clever how it was written and how they went the route of the doctors, but they didn't push it too far. Like in so many exorcism films now, you see them, oh, they go to the doctor, but they just do all this, but they pushed her medically, like, and that actually even kind of makes
science
me go,
and like supernatural, like trying to mesh itself.
Yeah,
trying to reason with the supernatural.
It just had the 50th anniversary too, which is crazy. Isn't that wild? Like, wow. I mean, that's wild. The fact that this film still stands up.
I mean, people were literally fainting and throwing up like they say today.
I don't think I would do that today. Yes.
Well, I have another one that was a pretty big one. I picked this one first because it was the first movie that I just found out recently was one of the first movies that I ever saw that was a horror movie that my dad remembered. And it was The Thing from 1982. Oh, yeah. And he put it on the VCR at the time, or the beta. I can't even remember if it was. And
I don't think you had beta.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We had beta. We had beta and Betamax, and then we had VHS later. But my dad was a videographer, so, you know.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, he put that on when my relatives were over, my cousins and stuff like that. They're like, should he be watching this? Yeah, he's fine. And then something would happen on the screen and I would just be like, my dad was like, yeah, maybe this was a bad idea. I don't know, but it stayed with me. And, you know, obviously The Thing is probably one of the more popular movies in history. And if you guys don't know it, I mean, obviously it's an Arctic research team that goes out and is infected by some alien that is making its appearance of other people. John Carpenter directed it. And my scene, the scene that affected me the most, that really has just stayed with me, was the scene when they're doing the chest compression on his chest. And the paddles go into his chest and his hands do not come back up. And they get chopped off. And then it's like a scene that doesn't quit, just like in Exorcist, where the head spins around and then just a whole series of events does not quit. And that's the kind of stuff that terrifies a child, is when it doesn't stop. You see one thing shocking and it continues, goes up into the ceiling, and then they burn it, and then the head breaks off, crawls across the floor, which is that little guy right here.
Oh, yeah. Aw.
A little memory.
That's so cool. That's awesome. That's a great Funko.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had to pick that one. That was like one of my favorite ones. And it stayed with me. That's a very
worthy film. I mean, like, if the... I would say that The Thing definitely scared me. I will tell you that I was totally in love with Kurt Russell when I was a kid.
Makes sense.
So he was like, I was like, hi. Like, not like he was in front of me or anything, but I loved the thing. Body horror, though, has always not made me scared. It's always exhilarated me.
Really?
For lack of a better way, yes. I love it. I love it. It explains probably why I love the Cenobites and everything. Like, I just think it's beautiful. I just think it's absolutely just so cool and so beautiful. And the thing did scare me some. I mean, obviously, how could it not? It's a horrible thing. It's like, I don't want to be taken over by aliens, but that's cool. The dog, though, is what got me.
Oh, when they shoot it in the chest and it makes the sound.
Yeah.
That one's pretty tough for kids.
Okay, so I need to preface this next one. This is a PG-13 film. Okay, so let me tell you about this film. I remember I had not seen this film. I had not seen the one I'm going to talk about. And then I saw Scary Movie 3. And it was the Pamela Anderson and the other blonde girl. I'm so sorry. Whatever. I'm not really familiar with.
Yeah, I can't think of her name.
Jenny McCarthy. Jenny McCarthy.
Yes.
I was like, the one that's married to like Marky Mark Wahlberg's brother. Okay, sorry, apologies for that. And they had a little funny scene about this film that is, and I was like, that sounds hilarious. What is this? I knew about the film because it had come out like the year before, I think, or something, or close to there. And the concept was so dumb. I was like, oh, you watch a video and then they call you, oh, you're going to die in 7 days. That is about the dumbest thing. I was not ready for this film. And it is obviously The Ring from 2002. I had not seen, Ringu as well. So when I watched this film, I was actually really messed up because the visuals, I guess for some reason, watching a scary movie, thinking that's funny, and what a silly concept. What a silly, dumb little concept for a movie. It totally works. I love the whole Ring thing. I love the backstory. I'll never forget, when she's editing the video and then she pulls like the fly out of the screen. I was like, oh my gosh. And how everything was shot in those cold blue tones and stuff. It was just so refreshing and so different from things that I had seen before, that it actually scared me. It chilled me. It made me feel uncomfortable and creepy. And the fact that, it was dealing with her son and then with this little girl, that scares the heck out of me too. So yeah.
And a countdown. You had a countdown for 7 days.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's actually it totally builds that tension. Mm-hmm. And I really actually enjoyed the story. I love the whole concept of making the copy. I mean, I did watch Ringu afterward later, and that didn't hit me the same way. But it's because, after I watched, The Ring, I can watch it now and I'm not scared. But watching it that first time really got me. Yeah, and I was like, when you have those expectations, the stupider the concept, sometimes you think, oh, okay, all right, let's watch this stupid little video. And totally worked for me. Just the video itself with the mirror and the light, I was like, this is so creepy and so weird. I will say that sometimes black and white gets to me, and you'll see further down in my list. I'm like, black and white films can be weird and creepy, and things that are old are sometimes really creepy to me.
Well, and I was going to say with the tape, it's like such a, for us older folks who used to have VHS, watching some crazy Faces of Death or something like that on a tape.
Oh.
And then having that memory of putting something you shouldn't be watching in your VCR and then connecting it to The Ring in a way is very nostalgic for us, but it's also something old and outdated for younger folks too. Yeah. So it's kind of,
it just makes it super weird.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of covers a lot of bases in that movie. Good one. But these ones are the kind of ones that started me, I think, or pushed me further. And the next one I have is Demons 2, which I think I saw it around 13 or 14 or something like that. My family had friends that next door were friends, and we went to their house, and then I went over to their house, and he was like, hey, you want to watch a horror movie? And I was like, yeah, sure, I love horror, you know, like, and I had never seen Demons 2. And for a child, Demons 2 is not even the scariest one for a lot of people. The first one, a lot of people love the most. But I saw part 2 first, which came out in 1986, about a group of people who are trapped in an apartment complex, and they're watching a documentary on the TV, and a fucking creature or a demon comes out of the television and infects people like zombies, only it's demons, and there's demons coming out of people's bodies, and their blood melts the floor and turns other people into zombies or mutants or whatever. And it scared the ever-living shit out of me. I didn't want to tell my friend at the time, so if he's watching, I just want you to know I was scared out of my mind when I was watching that, because he was way tougher than I was at that moment. I'd never seen anything like it, and just seeing people distort and the sounds of them and the TV thing where the head's pressing against the TV and coming out, it was just too much for me. So you definitely have a different, so this has obviously, you know, Asia Argento, and it's Wet Bava, and it definitely has the older, like, Fulci type feel to me. Those don't scare me at all. I just find them, I love the films, though. Sure. I am so compelled by the imagery, but I get it. I wish that kind of messed with me, because I love that is scary to people, you know, like, I do think that, and because then you have so much you can watch, and that's and that was, I didn't even know that was an Italian film, because it's obviously by Lamberto Bava, which is the son of Mario Bava, and produced by Dario Argento, all legends in their own time. But yeah, that was like one of the first Italian films that I knew of, you know, and then it took years until I saw another Italian film, or really? Well, I probably saw them, but I just didn't realize they were Italian. I just knew they were dubbed, and I had no idea, you know what I mean? So, yeah. But yeah, that one pushed me along. I mean, the dubbing's always so good on those. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. I do love those films. That makes it seem like I don't, but I do. Actually like the dubbing now with the Italian films. Me too. I don't like it with the subtitles, and there's some people that like it that way, but not me. So, your third one. This film, I would normally not say this movie would scare me. I would say that this film would disturb me. And I think that it disturbs lots of people. I can watch this film now and it doesn't scare me. However, when I watched 2008 Martyrs, which is the French version, not the remake. I actually have never seen the remake, so I heard it wasn't good. And I don't think that anything, I don't think anything could even come close to the original. Pascal is like freaking amazing director. Questionable with some of the things that they do, but that's okay. I watched this the night before I had surgery, and I cannot explain to you. I didn't know anything about the film at all. Like, I just knew that it was a horror movie that people think is, so disturbing. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. When people tell me, the movie's so scary. The movie. Okay. Yeah, that's sweet. Like, I usually don't have a problem with it. And a lot of times I will prepare myself, a lot of, expectations for a film are where we are in our state of mind. And I could not sleep that night because I was like, they're going to knock me out and I'm never going to wake up, or I'm going to wake up with, I don't want to give anything away. Or, I felt like, oh my gosh, that's what's going to happen to me. There's some things that are dealing with surgery.
It petrified me. It absolutely petrified me. And I was like, oh my God. It's not so much when I do remember watching it thinking it is very disturbing. The whole concept of it, though, is very interesting. I think it's definitely most of the more disturbing films are political commentary, like a Serbian film and things like that. They really do have, 120 Days of Sodom?
Yeah.
Like those things are generally, they're really political commentary more, and so they play out in this awful way, but this one just hit me considering what I was about. I actually was like, well, I could probably wait to have this surgery. I almost canceled. And I was like, don't be a wussy, just figure it out. And it is still obviously a disturbing film for me because of its content. And I think it's so raw and gritty. I do love the film though.
Yeah.
But it doesn't scare me in the same way now, thank God. But yeah, that's
a good one.
That's a rough one.
What was the gist of the story, the beginning of it? Because it changes so much.
Oh yeah. Okay. So basically you have these children who escape this place, and they grow up, and one of the girls is obsessed with what happened back there, and so she goes back to this place to try to deal with some of that, and the other girl goes and tries to find her, and
that's right.
At its core, basically it's dealing with this elite group of very wealthy people who are exploring basically life after death.
The biggest conspiracies you can think of really is kind of like what it's like.
And it has some crazy gore. I mean, I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but there's this head. Oh my God. I was like, cheese and rice, y'all. The French know how to do extreme horror. I mean, they really do. I mean, they know.
I mean, maybe not every movie, but when they do it, they do it really well.
But Teton?
Yeah.
Teton,
or
Raw.
Teton. Yeah, I just talked about that recently.
Yeah. Revenge, and of course then,
Inside.
We have the director of Revenge with The Substance. There's so many. There are a plethora of crazy stuff.
So I got a PG-13 one in here too. I didn't want to spoil it, but this is one that when I watched when I was younger too, it was one that my parents, they would always tell me, Alex, if you're scared, just look the other way. You don't have to look at the screen, at the scary stuff. Just turn your head. It's not real. And I said, okay. I got scared and I turned and I watched the rest of the movie or parts of the movie in the reflection.
They're like a mirror.
Of the fireplace. We had one of those gold rimmed fireplace things with the glass over it. And I could see the reflection of the TV in the glass. So it was I was kind of watching it obscured a little bit, but I couldn't turn my eyes away. And that was Poltergeist from 1982. Oh, yeah. Which obviously is about a family who is basically has a house in a new development that has a bunch of burial grounds that they put the house on top of. Which is the age-old tale of don't bury your house, don't put a house over top of that. Yes. Toby Hooper directed it, and Steven Spielberg wrote and produced it with some other people. That movie has a lot of childhood scares in it that are probably a lot of people's first initial, scares. That and the movie The Gate are both those kind of movies where they have those child scares where the clown in the fucking movie was probably one of the most terrifying things until I saw Scary Movie 2, I think it was.
It's funny that there's another,
That was when I was okay with it. The tree is amazingly scary. Oh my God. I didn't, because when you're a kid and you see the shadows on the window, every shadow is a monster, at that point in time. Something's outside. So I always saw the tree going by and it always scared me as a kid. So that was a big thing. Then there was the guy who goes into the bathroom and pulls his face off. There's just so many things in this movie. And to this day, I mean, it's not that it scares me. I just love the movie. I absolutely loved it. It's the most entertaining family American movie that you could ever find. It's got stuff that'll scare little kids in it, I think. Maybe not anymore. So.
Didn't they use real skeletons?
Yes, in the pool.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing something about that. Like, I loved this film. I'm such a messed up person. Like, I was a weird, really messed up child. I don't know why. I will say, I never looked at static on the television the same way again.
Yeah. They're here. No, they're not. What the hell are you saying?
Yeah. You keep your mouth shut, little girl. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, I was a little girl when I saw that one too, younger than her too. Oh, and then she passed away. That's sad. Okay, sorry. Too much overload of info. But I'll never forget it because I thought it was so interesting about how it revolved around this girl. And maybe I was like, oh, but maybe, I'm always in this like whole fantasy thing. Like, I'm like, maybe she's powerful. Maybe this, I mean, there's a lot of creepiness in this film though. Like, I even remember Zelda, she scared me at first.
Oh,
and then of course she's really soft and sweet, but she comes across as like, I was like, oh my God, this is such a weird film. That film is fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's amazing.
There's a reason why there are so many, several sequels to that because it was cool.
What's your fourth one?
Y'all, I hate to admit what like this. Okay, so I need to explain something. I'm sure you all understand what the difference is between a fear and a phobia is, right?
Sure.
Like a fear is just something you're afraid of. I do have the name of this film and I'll explain why. And this is the most embarrassing thing I'm about to admit because it actually does deal with my psychiatric health. I do have arachnophobia and that is the film we're discussing. And I will tell you the difference is the phobia, you have an irrational fear of whatever this is. And I will be honest with you that when I see a spider, any spider, it doesn't matter the size, sometimes even just talking about it actually really messes me up. Even just the smallest one, I usually, oh my God, see, I'm going to start stuttering. Like it gets bad. Like
that's a real phobia, folks.
And I know it's not this, and I know that this is irrational, and this is the irrational side, but if I kill a spider, that a spider army is going to come after me and kill me.
Oh, okay.
And that's crazy. And I know that's not ever going to happen. That's not, but the moment that I see it doesn't matter. There's no more rational thoughts in my brain. And I usually freeze up and okay, see, I could just feel like, so I rewatched this film because I wanted to see how it made me feel. And I feel exactly the same way I did before.
Wow.
Not all spider films hit me the same way. I will tell you, like I saw Infested for this year, 2024, and it was great.
That's one of those movies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was great, but there is something about those big spiders, that helps. Them being big and not as realistic is can help me detach from it, oddly enough. I know that's weird, but the fact that arachnophobia, and they all look like freaking wolf spiders,
What's that?
And those are so common.
What's that right there? Kidding.
Okay, that's not funny. I was like, wait, I have a spider tattoo, and I have like I think spiders are the most fascinating creatures
you're owning
on
your
the
phobia.
planet.
That's what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was also in love with Julian Sands, and so that is a plus here. But he does unfortunately get got in this pretty hardcore. But this film, y'all, when I watched it again recently, oh my god, Jeff Daniels is like laying there, and I think it's a tarantula that they used. comes like they make the spiders obviously very crafty and very smart, and it starts crawling up on him, and like it knows it's taunting him because all it has to do is bite him and he would die, and then it shows the eye and the reflection of it, and I'm like, F this movie. Nope. This is my thing. This is like this. Okay.
That's awesome.
So that's it. That is. Oh, and John Goodman is hilarious in this too.
He was the exterminator in the movie. He starts off the movie, doesn't he?
Yes, he's wonderful in this. Like sometimes some movies that actually like also maybe scare me at points have a little bit of comedy, and then when the horror comes, it's like, oh, okay. And this movie, honestly, Arachnophobia, has a big like dip. And it's kind of boring for a bit before it ramps up at the end. Oh my God. The family is in the house and then the spiders like start coming out of everything.
Yeah.
And they start dropping down. No.
It's funny. My mom is like totally the same way. And when we watched this on VHS, when it came out, my dad was like sitting in a chair over to the right of her and she was laying on the couch. And he's like just behind her to the right. And she was drinking a strawberry milkshake. And she was like watching it like this, like, oh my God, and my dad balled up a little paper towel and just chucked it. And it hit her on top of the head. She poured the entire drink on her head.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I would.
Sorry, Mom. I had to tell the story.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I think it was a strawberry milkshake, but it could have been Coke. I don't remember. It's just how you remember.
Coke would be better. That's easier. Yeah.
I'm just glad she didn't cut herself or something. You know what I mean? Like,
I know. The fear is real.
Now, I have another one that is far away from spiders, but the director has done a lot of movies with spiders in them. And this is a Lucio Fulci film. This is, I'll preface this with, I moved to Florida for like when I was like 18 or something like that. And I'd seen this movie. It was called something completely different, but I didn't really know the movie. It was called Gates of Hell in America.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
And it was City of the Living Dead in Italy. And it came out in 1980. It's essentially about a reporter and a bunch of people, a psychic who witnesses the gates of hell being opened because of a priest who hangs himself in a cemetery, and it opens up one of the 6 portals or 666 portals to hell, and like the dead start rising from their graves. And I went and I met some people in Florida. This is when I lived in Florida for a little while, and they were like, you gotta come over, we're gonna watch movies, because I told them I love Dead Alive, and they were like, oh, you gotta come over. And I was like, okay. And they're like, well, we're going to watch City of the Living Dead. I was like, I don't know if I've seen that. And they're like, oh, you're going to love it. And I was like, okay. So this movie is really kind of silly and schlocky, and a lot of people laugh at it. But you have to understand, this was my first time experiencing Lucio Fulci's horror movies, not like, White Fang or something like that, where he does like kid movies. This was like the opening, the music, the way the camera moved, and like the priest hanging him, and the music, and the babies crying, and like the zombie coming up out of the ground. I was riveted, and it scared me. And I hadn't been scared like that for a very long time. And they were laughing. I was blown away. And watching this priest stare at people and making them vomit up their organs, bleed out of their eyes, I was scared. And it took me probably 10 or 15 years before I started laughing watching that movie. I went to the theater to see it in 35 millimeter print here in Arizona.
So sorry.
And people were laughing, and I was like, excuse me, like, but it really is silly, but it affected me that much. That's one of the biggest movies in my life. That movie made me a horror fan, I think. So I get, Fulci's freaking amazing.
I like I said, I don't laugh at the films because I don't find them particularly funny. And
there's some funny parts
that oh God, what's the one with the boy? Oh God, that was a horrible
The
film. I
House
mean,
by
it
the
was
Cemetery?
great film. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is the
With the
creep.
doctor living in the basement. The
Oh
dead guy, yeah.
yes, no, sir, that is so creepy. I love the film. So when I say that, I'm like, but these films are just really masterpieces, though.
Yeah.
Like the cinematography and the color. Well, obviously, giallo films and stuff, like the colors and there's just something special about it. I get why you were riveted by it.
Yeah.
It's never really scared me, but I get it. Like I don't really actively laugh at them either, because I find them so fascinating in their nature and the way that they are. And yes, everything's absurd because most of the time the story is just what and what happened here and how did this happen, and I mean, does it matter? Not really. No. I get it. I would love it though if they hit me like
Exorcist has
that.
some schlocky parts in it. If you really think about it.
Pretty much most of them.
But it was treated so serious, and the camera work is
Mm-hmm.
so good, and the pacing of it is so good. And I think it's kind of like the winning combination there, right? You got to take some risks, make a little schlock, add a little seriousness. The music on both of those movies are really good. So it's
well, yeah. Oh
Fulci's
my gosh.
movies have always had that music. It's the Fabio Frizzi and Goblin and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Like I think they actually had a couple of years ago, they actually did the music. Like they had an orchestra thing. I didn't go to it, but man, I wish I had been able to, because that would be awesome to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yes.
It's my fifth.
Your fifth one, our fifth one, guys.
Okay, so this is what I mentioned when I was talking about black and white films. I know that this is an odd choice. I watched this as a child, as most of these films. And there is something about this film that just petrified me to my core. I actually grew up around clowns and the circus and stuff. There's not clowns in this film, I should say, but it's Freaks from 1932.
Oh.
And it something about the actual cast and it being so real just mesmerized me. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And then the story is really sad because you have these little people and you have this like blonde vixen who's just a horrible person. And she is trying to rip the little dude off, and it's BS. But obviously,
it's been a while, but I do remember that.
Things happen. But the end of this film too just really messed me up. I mean, if what's interesting is I do know that, obviously Freaks from American Horror Story took from this film. I saw this film way before that, but I'm glad that, the film has some recognition. I think a lot of people have seen this film.
Oh, yeah.
I hope a lot of people have.
I know at least 3 people that say it's one of their favorite films. So
yeah, it's really beautifully made. It's wonderfully acted. And, I know the 2 little people who are the girl and the dude, they're actually brother and sister. Oh. But, they're kind of like, she's like in love with him. It's very sweet. But the ending, I don't want to give it away, but I'm going to say a little bit where she's a chicken. I was like, nah. Wow. That is like awful. But, not that it's not deserved, because it kind of is. But there's something about the real people, there's something about the way it's shot. There's something about it being black and white. Things from, such a bygone era kind of scare me in a way. I don't know why. I mean, I do like antiques and things like that. I'm not quite to that degree. I know a lot of people can have issues with antiques and stuff. I find them very cool, but And this is the gothic side of me. Every time I watch something, I'm like, oh, these people are dead. And that's actually how I think. And it's not even like a sad thing. It's just the way that I think. I'm like, yeah, they're all dead. Oh, that dog is dead. Oh, this. Like, that is just how my brain works. Like,
you're reminding me of Trash from Return of the Living Dead. I try not to think about death so much.
It's really something that is how I've always been. I'm like, oh, death everywhere. I mean, it sounds so emo. I'm not an emo, gross.
No.
But like, but this movie, even still, like, obviously it's still just as good as watching it. Doesn't, scare me per se now. It did then, because I was like, oh, you F around and you're going to find out. Like, that's like the epitome of that. And
well, it's also trying to show the flip side of it. The ones that are supposed to be freaks aren't necessarily the ones.
Exactly. Yeah, they're the
regular
there's
people.
Nothing wrong with,
the monsters on Maple Street or whatever it is.
See, this is always the way. I've always sided with the monsters, like Nightbreed, Midian, all the way. Yeah. Hellraiser. I love the Cenobites. Like, I have always root for the monsters.
So I'll have to watch that.
What's your last one? What's number 10?
Well, this one is a big one. This one, and it's so weird because it's an anthology, and it was from 1975.
Yeah.
It is the Trilogy of Terror. 1975. It is the third story called Amelia, which was played by Karen Black. Karen Black did all of the characters in the movie, all separate, like, different stories, different characters. She played all of the roles, which is really different and interesting. And it was directed by Dan Curtis, who also did the remake of it, which was not as good. But it's just a bunch of stories about this one lady who's in it, and Karen Black plays that lady. And the last story, or one of the last story, the story 3 was Amelia, where this lady gets a fetish doll, a Zuni fetish doll, and it comes with a scroll, and she opens up the scroll, and there's this camera work where it's just sitting on the table, and she's kind of like auspiciously looking at it like there's something off about this thing. And then she opens a scroll, and she's like on the phone, and it's like regular day. And it says something about that, don't let its neck or its a belt come off or something like that. And then when she goes to take a shower, the belt comes off or something like that. And then she can't find the fucking doll. And the doll is nowhere to be found. But when it is found, it is screeching like a mad demon, and it's unstoppable. Like, there is nothing that you can do to stop this. It's like animated, like a I don't know, voodoo magic or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the most, that haunted me for little things. Remember you were talking about how you can reason with the spider being big?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because inevitably we can go, well, there's not much we can do about that, but with little things, it's not going to take you out like that. It's going to make you suffer all the way.
Oh yeah, because the little bitty, like,
right. And he's got this little knife, and he's like, the sound in that was etched into my soul. And I was like, I don't know, man, that scared me. There's like a scene in it where she traps it in an old suitcase, and it's like one of those hard shell ones, and she's like, it's like cutting through it.
Yeah.
And she's trying to stop it with her fingers. It's like, no, don't touch it. But what do? She tries to drown it. She tries to like lock it behind a door, and it will not stop. That thing, to this day, it gets me excited talking about it now. But when I was a kid,
because it freaks you out. Yeah.
I couldn't be in the room with that on the TV because it scared me that much.
I love dolls and puppets and things like that, but I do get that. I get the fear of that. That one particularly was really cool looking, though. Yeah. Like, come on, that looked super scary. And
it's cheesy as hell too. That's the crazy thing. How they made it work is even more amazing.
but small things can hide in places. And
Right.
that's part of it. Like it could hide anywhere. It could be coming out whenever. It's going to like come at you. I mean, like, let's be real. The tiny Tina, the Twilight Zone episode, Telly
Right.
Savalas or whatever. Yeah. I'm Tiny Tina and you better whatever. Yeah. That was super scary.
Yeah.
And that doll didn't talk, didn't do anything. It was just so simple. Sometimes just that simple, that's petrifying. Like
Yeah, I
dolls
mean, I wonder if I
Scary,
showed
I
that
get it.
that movie to a kid today, if they would feel the same way as I did, because there's something about everything that's going on in that, and Karen Black's performance in it is
Karen Black is amazing. I
especially-
love her.
and how it
She's
ends too.
fabulous.
Like she like finally gets the win on it, but then like I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, it continues on.
Like she's a legend, and she was very sexy and beautiful, but also very original looking. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like I love her look. I just think she's. I
They
think
even
I think
play
a lot
off
of
that in one of the earlier shorts in the movie too, because there's a short in the very beginning where she plays a nerdy, unattractive, supposedly teacher. Yeah, and one of the students is like into her, and he's like, "I wonder what she's wearing under there." Like it's like, okay, I know where this is going.
Yeah. God. Oh my God. Yeah. That's
But those
awesome.
are-
I
I
think
think
that's
we did a
worthy.
good job.
Yeah, these are worthy films. I mean, I think
For
some of
us.
them are unexpected. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for us. Yeah.
Everybody's is going to be different, guys. Okay, because everybody
Yeah.
has their own fears, and obviously,
Yep.
we're showing our age in some of these things. Like eyes.
Yeah, but I don't know that that's true though, because I'll be honest with you, like I watched a lot of this stuff young, and I think it's really about like my kids. I showed them stuff well before their time, because I was a weirdo, and so like they know a lot more than their peers,
Right.
Like I think if you're a horror fan too, look, I only watch horror. Well, guess what? Sometimes you got to look to the past to get to the future. That sounds so nerdy and dumb. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. You know what I almost put on here too? And I know this sounds crazy. The Frighteners. Isn't that
hey.
wild?
That
'Cause the
especially for
comedy-
comedy, yeah.
With the scariness, but Jeffrey Combs, and then but there's some moments here that are scary.
My body.
I was like,
is a roadmap
Yes.
of pain. Yeah, that's one of my
He's
favorite
wonderful.
Jeffrey Combs performances. Everybody always says
Me
Reanimator.
too.
I'm like this. That's his
Oh no,
best.
I said this too. Yeah, did you see?
Yeah.
I did a Jeffrey Combs like kind of thing. Yeah, it's phenomenal. He's insane here. I love him here. Like he's magical. Yes,
He really has
Mhm.
a lot of depth in that role. But I want to know what you guys like. If you guys are watching this and you think of movies, and because obviously if you made it to the end, you're probably thinking, what movie scared me? Like what movies impacted me and what
Mhm.
changed me to make me a horror fan? So if you got some, sound them off in the bottom. If you'd like us to do another video at some point in time, maybe on Crystal's channel, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
Yeah, let us know what you want to see. And did any of these scare you? I mean, are
Yeah.
we just totally off base? Did y'all
everybody's gonna
feel
laugh at
any
us.
of
They're
these?
like, that's not scary. A
The
doll? Really?
PG-13 loser.
I saw When Evil Lurks. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one though.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you
You're
so
just
much
better
for
than
coming
us.
on. I really
Thank
think
you for having me.
it
Yeah.
was great hanging
was
out,
awesome.
talking about this
You too.
stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys follow her. Please do. Her link is
thank
down
you. Yes,
below.
you too.
So
Oh, thank
did you
you.
want to add
Yes, that's
anything
great.
before you go?
No, just hope I oh my goodness. See, I need a script. I need a writer. I'm like, no, I'm good. Okay, like and subscribe for Alex because he needs your love and support, y'all.
It's
He's
true.
freaking fabulous and he doesn't get enough love. So I'm tired of it. So make it happen, y'all. Make it happen
I
now.
appreciate that. Her too.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
But thank you guys so much for coming by. And as always,
Yes.
long live the void.